The bubble hasn't burst yet. This is getting scary. Hello and welcome to episode 114 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we're at home against Ipswich and then away against Reading, both in the Championship. And that is a Championship that after 16 games, we're still in the playoffs for. 25 points on the board already, so halfway towards the fabled target of 25 points. We are starting to wobble just a little bit. If you have a look at recent form, obviously we started the season really strongly. A lot of points on the board early on. We then had a spell of 4 games where we didn't win a game, but then picked up a couple more wins. We're now in a spell of 3 games where we haven't won a game. But the important thing is, we're still on 25 points after 16 games. We don't care about whether we're in an automatic promotion position or a playoff position. None of this promotion stuff is on the cards for this season. We just want to accumulate as many points as we possibly can, as quickly as we can, get to that 50-point mark as early in the season as we possibly can. And if we're there by January, then we'll worry about where we can push on to. But for now, it's just about accumulating those points, and we are doing a good job towards that. Actually, this Aston Villa game that we lost 6-2, we were top of the league before that, and they were second. So it shows just how recently we were still top of the Championship, but they did thump us. They absolutely tore us apart. So we've not really recovered from that yet, and hopefully we recover from it in this game. We've had an international break. The game itself has had a rest overnight, so hopefully that's going to be enough to make it realise we're not in bad form anymore. Let's trick Football Manager. And this is the team we're putting out there. We've got Wade in goal, a back four of Taylor, Sawyer, Taggart and Lang, with Lenton, Barron and Anderson in midfield and Ball in behind Ruggles and Stainsby. So we've gone back to the Ruggles and Stainsby partnership that was doing so well earlier in the season. We'd had Kent Wheatley was in the side for a run of 3 or 4 games and was doing really well. He looks like he is actually probably going to be as good as we thought he was. Dan Fisher is still weighing in with goals when he gets opportunities. And we've actually got 4 good strikers who are all scoring goals for us at Championship level. Poor old Ali Afsharian is sat there on the bench. I don't think he's even made a substitutes appearance yet this season. Remember, this is the guy that when we signed him last season on a free, it was on the premise that he'd scored 20 plus goals in the Championship 2 years before. We know he can score goals at this level. He just hasn't even had a minute of game time yet, I don't think, because we've got 4 strikers ahead of him who are both doing very well. So we're all right for strikers. I think we've got 5 strikers at the club who, if they played week in, week out, would get 20-25 goals in this league. So we're all right for strikers. Midfield, I think our midfield is the best it's ever been, and that includes midfields that had Skelton in. As ever, slight question marks over the fullbacks and the goalkeeper, but we have got £600,000 to spend in January, and now it looks like we might actually survive in the Championship this season. I'm a little less reluctant to spend it than I was before. I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money over the summer. We did that last time when we spent £1 million on Miles Darwin and got relegated, and that caused us all manner of problems. So I'm being very careful with the little bit of transfer budget that we've got, and we may well invest in January if we find the right player. Can I just point out how beautiful that goal was that we've just scored? The amount of touches we had in our midfield and with our fullbacks before that cross came in, that was absolutely stunning. We're just knocking the ball around with absolutely no reply. This is what I'm talking about, the best midfield we've ever had. And that's a beautiful cross from Taylor and an excellent finish from Stainsby. We're a Championship team. I'm starting to think that year we got relegated was just a blip, because the year we first came up, we were a mid-table Championship side. We then lost Skelton, had a blip. But then we got promoted with ease and we've come back up and we look like a mid-table Championship side again. We just had a 1-season blip. Anderson's picked up an injury, which is a little bit of a problem, but it does mean Michael Neal gets to come into the side, who's not really had any opportunity at all yet this season. Similar situation to Afsharian. I don't think he's played a minute of football yet, Michael Neal. Obviously, probably more than anybody at the club, Michael Neal has been pushed down the pecking order by the summer transfer business when we signed 4 first-team midfielders. Yeah, we sold 2 as well, but it did mean that Neil went from being a fairly regular starter to 5th choice midfielder, and James Ball has just made it 3-0. Ipswich, by the way, were above us before this match started. This isn't us thumping a relegation-threatened team. This is another team who are in and around the playoffs at the moment, and we leapfrog over them if we win this match, which it's looking quite likely that we're going to do now. 3-0 up after 35 minutes. And we're just playing good football. I wish I had a time machine. I want to go back and paste some of these games as replies to some of the comments saying 4-3-1-2 won't work in the Championship. Kev, you've got to sign a goalkeeper. All this other stuff. We didn't sign one, and we're still doing 4-3-1-2. And it looks like it works in the Championship to me with a lot of the same players, and Stainsby makes it 4-0 before half-time. And we're doing to Ipswich what Aston Villa did to us the other week. They were 5-0 up at half-time, and it just ruined us. And I think we finally, after a bit of an international break, have got that out of our system, and we're now giving it back to somebody else. And poor old Ipswich are on the receiving end of it. And hopefully we go back to fairly solid form from here on in. And as it stands, we're level on points with second place West Brom. Villa are starting to open up a little bit of gap at the top of the league. But remember, we're not looking at the top of the league. That wasn't in reference to where we are. That was just having a little look at the Championship picture as a whole. We're still focusing on the bottom of the league, where we are now 10 points clear of relegation. So, see, it shows it's still early in the season. Only 10 points clear and we're third in the league. So it's no good just having a good start. We've got to keep this going all the way through. So it is still about, let's get to 50 points as soon as we possibly can. Keep our heads screwed on. So 22 points to go if we can turn this, if we can hold on to this game, which, you know, we've been 4-0 up and not won the game before. So it's certainly not a foregone conclusion that we're going to get 3 points today. But if we do, 22 points to go. We just keep refocusing. Let's just keep going for it. Right, we want the next win. We want the next win. And that's what it's all about. Right, substitution o'clock, I think. I don't know that we need to change anything tactically. So let's have a little look at fitness. And in fact, there you go. Tony Barron has picked up an injury as well. So we're picking up 2 injuries to our midfield today, which is far from ideal. Russell will come on and James Boyle will drop back into midfield. And that will do. And we'll give it another 10 minutes. And hopefully not pick up any more injuries. Because the last thing we need is to start accumulating some injuries. Taylor's looking a little bit tired, but I don't think we've got Phil Ball on the bench today. So we don't have anyone who can play left back on the bench. So for my final trick, what I will do is, I guess we'll take off Jake Lang or Tommy Taggart. Yeah, we'll take off Lang, get Ibrahim on. Ibrahim made his debut for Nigeria during the international break as well, so he's now full international player. Which is nice, because he's one of our own. Despite the fact he's on loan, we made him. He is shown as homegrown at the club. I think now Joe Anderson's left, Ibrahim might be the only homegrown at the club player that we've got now, despite the fact we bring in a lot of youngsters. Not very many of them actually make the grade. If we really drilled down and studied this transfer policy, who was the last 18-year-old we signed who made it into the first team? Even Michael Neal, I think, was a little bit older, because I think he's 21, 22 at this point. We'll check him in a second. He might be the most recent one, though, and he's been here 3 years. So it's not the most successful transfer policy in the history of the world, other than the fact that we do make a profit on it, because we loan these players out and we take fees for that, and you get the odd one who comes through, and you sell players on like Ibrahim, like Reece Williams. I know we haven't done it for a little while because we've started selling off first team players, but I still stand by my policy. What a goal that is. And I tell you what, with 7 seconds on the clock, if they've got that in their locker, I am a little bit afraid that they might just go and grab an equaliser, and that would just be devastating. What a finish that is. And can we just have a final whistle now, please? We can. And we convert our 4-0 lead the way only we can, with a 4-3 win with 2 last-minute goals for the opposition. Yeah, Michael Neal is 22, so he doesn't count as homegrown for us. So it really is just Ibrahim as our only homegrown at the club player at the moment, who's in our first team squad. So we need some better training facilities. I think I've talked myself into wanting training facilities, but it's still not as important as getting a ground, which incidentally they are still showing as planning permission, which has already been declined. I really hope this isn't a glitch that will stop us ever expanding the stadium. If this screen thinks that we've already got it happening, but then you come to this screen that says it's cancelled, because that could be problematic. Even more problematic is that our star man, our signing of the summer, has broken his leg and is out for the rest of the season. Brilliant. 2 changes for the Reading game, then 3 changes, 2 in the midfield, 1 at the back. Neil and Barber coming into the midfield at the expense of the injured Anderson and the out of form Jack Lenton, and O'Brien comes back in at left back after serving yet another suspension. We're going to give him another go. If he gets sent off again, you've seen him get sent off every day this week, I think. If he gets sent off again in this one, I really am done with him. I promised you yesterday I was done with him. I am done with him if he gets sent off again today. But he is the best left back at the club. And looking back through his career, he does have a history of getting 2 or 3 red cards every season. So perhaps he's not out of his depth, which is what I initially thought when I said I was done with him. Perhaps he's just a thug. And I don't mind having a thug at left back. Long-time viewers will remember the hero that was Rob Tomelty, who he had at left back for Southend, I think it probably was, back in Non-League to Legend last year, who got sent off all the time. But he was brilliant and we loved him. So maybe O'Brien will just be one of them. And we just never know when he's going to get another yellow card, which isn't the best basis to play a team with. But, you know, that was a bad sentence as well. So we've all got our faults. We've got a corner though. And it's Ball who floats it in. Barber picks it up, but nothing comes of it. So, Villa look like they're losing. Hold on, Villa are losing. So Villa are losing to Fulham at the moment. I know I'm not supposed to be looking up, but I'm looking at that thinking, well, if we grab a goal here, we'll be 2 points behind Villa. We'll be up into second place. And that'd be mad, wouldn't it? Imagine ending the episode in an automatic promotion spot when it's nearly Christmas. But Reading are going to stop that from happening. They didn't. Wade makes the save. I forgot now that we've got a couple of keepers at the club, in both Wade and Hugo, who do occasionally catch the football. And I'm in such a habit of just expecting every attack of the opposition to lead to a goal. Like that one. That's much more like what we expect. And it's gone down as a Sawyer own goal. And I think that's a little bit harsh, that being an own goal, actually. Let's have a look at that on the replay. At best, this is deflected off Sawyer. I don't see how this is an own goal at all. Let's have a proper look here. It probably was a massive own goal. Let's have a look. Okay. He moved his head towards it, didn't he? That wasn't a deflection. He headed that and just mistimed it completely. So, yeah, okay. I'll allow it, computer. It was an own goal. You know better than my human eyes. Right, we've got 45 minutes to turn this one around. And context, let's remember, a draw is fine. We're away from home against Reading and we're Nuneaton. A draw would be fine. And James Ball is in and should have tucked that away. And we're being mugged at the moment. I've just glanced up at the stats. We're ahead for clear-cut chances, so we need to sort our lives out, get up there and score a couple of goals because we had a couple of good chances. Ruggles collects and tries to backheel it to Ball. I don't really know what he was thinking there. And it's actually put us under a little bit of pressure, although Wade collects fairly comfortably. It worries me that there was a highlight that involved my goalkeeper dribbling the ball through his area because that suggests something stupid is going to come from it. And he does manage to hold on to it with a bit of a TV save there because there's absolutely no reason you need to be diving. Certainly not that spectacularly, Mr. Wade, but I don't care as long as you keep catching the football like you did. Once again, second time in a match we've seen one of our keepers catch a football. It's a rarity. I think we should have little scorecards to mark on when that happens because it's so rare. And now we've given away a penalty. And is that O'Brien? No, it's Sawyer. Oh, Sawyer's having a nightmare. So he's had an own goal and given away a penalty, and we're 2-0 down. We're still in the playoffs, though. That's important. It's not important. What's important is 28 points after 18 games. That's the only thing. I've got to adjust the mentality. Kev, we're not in a promotion push this year. We're just trying to accumulate points. Mentality. Come on now. Let's not get carried away with ourselves. And Barber looked like he was having a terrible game on there. I think he was sat on a 5.9. I can't imagine what Sawyer's on. I didn't even see him. But if Barber's on a 5.9, and I don't even remember noticing him, Sawyer must be on like a 4. Sawyer's actually having a better game. Oh, it's James Ball, not Barber, who's having a bad game. So Sawyer's actually playing better than James Ball, apparently. So James Ball must be having an absolute nightmare. Let's get him off. Who have we got? Albert Richardson. Albert Richardson's not really played much this season, so we'll get him in. And we'll take Sawyer off. Oh, we haven't got a full centre-back on the bench. Sawyer has to stay on. In that case, we do a double change to the strikers. And we finally get to see Ali Afsharian in the Championship. So it's Fisher and Afsharian with Richardson in behind. 20 minutes with a completely new look front three who've never played together in the Championship to see if they can score 3 goals to go and win this game. It's not likely, is it? But, You know, Dan Fisher is closing in on the all-time record goal scorer thing now. So even if we lose and get another Dan Fisher goal, I can probably find a way to be comfortable with that. I want to see Fisher break the record this season, because I don't know. I mean, if we are in a promotion push next year, I don't imagine Dan Fisher will be part of it, because he's surely got to level out at some point. He's 28 now, I think. He's going to get to the point where we move beyond him, and I think we're pretty much at that point, or getting very close to that point now. We need him to grab the record while he's still in form and scoring goals. But he's not contributed towards it today, and I feel like we've been mugged there. We've played well, we've created chances, just wasn't to be. We are still doing incredibly well though, and hopefully I'll still be saying that at the end of tomorrow's episode, because I think if we're still in the playoffs at the end of tomorrow's episode, at that point we're probably safe for the season. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.